On 619 now. On September 15th, right around the corner, thousands in Portland will gather for Race for the Cure, raising funds to fight breast cancer. That can turn into the most difficult time in a woman's life.
With us now is Tiffany Baker, a breast cancer survivor and volunteer with Providence Cancer Center's Breast Cancer Outreach Program. Good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning.
I guess you should start your story with the lump.
Yes, I had come home from Christmas vacation and had gone out to dinner. I was getting dressed for bed putting my pajamas on for bed, and kind of bumped a spot, and it was very close to the surface, very low down. And since it was late on a Friday night, I called the doctor on call, and he said, "Hey, don't worry about it." But my mother had died at 48. And so I was worried about it, and I was 41 at the time. I had little kids, and so for the rest of the weekend, I laid awake at night and couldn't think of anything during the day, waiting to go see the doctors. And so then Monday morning I went in to see the doctor, and they didn't think it was anything to worry about. I was in very good health. I had just had a bunch of blood tests done about 3 weeks earlier because I was concerned that things didn't feel right. I had been losing weight for some unknown reason. But even with all of this, they still said, no need to worry, and they sent me over to get a mammogram. Because it was so low on my breast, they couldn't see it on the mammogram, so they sent me over to a ultrasound, and they were able to see it on the ultrasound. And with that, they sent me to a breast specialist.
Oh, I'm so glad you went with your instincts on that. You know something's up, so good for you in that sense. What did your treatment involve after that, Tiffany?
Well, initially I was misdiagnosed by the first person, and it was at that point that my husband knew a woman who was involved with the Breast Center Outreach Program at Providence. So he called her, and he just said, this Tiffany went to this doctor. They said, "Hey, why don't you come back in 6 months? It's really small. I don't think it's anything to worry about, but we'd really like for someone to take a little bit more time and to kind of look a little deeper into this." And so Mary said, "Okay, here's some doctors at Providence. This is the one I used. She was wonderful." We called that woman. Her name is Dr. Laurel Soot. I went in, and at that point, it was really kind of the turning point to getting the treatment that I needed. And she could see it was so close to the surface you could actually see the lump. And she said, it's so close, it's so simple. With your history, I really think it would be a good idea to do a lumpectomy, or not a lumpectomy, but a surgical biopsy, because it was so hard. That's the only way they could get it out. And that became the start of the surgical process. So I had a surgical biopsy, and with that became the cancer diagnosis. Then I had a bilateral mastectomy with a sentinel node biopsy. They found more cancer in that sentinel node, which then 6 weeks later went back in for a axillary dissection, and they took out more lymph nodes. And once I healed from that, then I started a regimen of chemotherapy.
Tiffany, I have to. We're almost out of time.
Sure.
Your story is totally interesting, but I'm just curious. Just if you could sum it up for us, how important is it to have a support system along the way in your fight?
Oh, it's critical. And the nice thing about the volunteers is they've been trained to listen. And sometimes you're not looking for solutions. You're just looking for someone to listen who really understands the process.
Yeah, we got 6 seconds. Are you cancer-free today?
I am.
That's
yes.
Great news. Great news. Tiffany, thank you. You're just like a snapshot of so many people out there that are going through the same thing. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yes, no problem.
Tiffany Baker is a breast cancer survivor, volunteer with Providence Cancer Center's Breast Cancer Outreach Program as well.